So in this video, we'll just do an unboxing and a first look at this Aerox 5 wireless ultra-light multi-genre gaming mouse. And of course, it is the best lightweight mouse by PC Gamer. SteelSeries really like to put that label on the box, best something. If you read the small text up here, it says from the maker of the best lightweight mouse. So it doesn't really say anything specifically about this mouse here, just that they at some point made a best esports mouse or gaming mouse, a lightweight mouse anyways. Let's have a look at this one here. It does have a lot of buttons on the side here. I really wanted to try this one out because it can help out a little bit in first-person shooters. I'm not really sure if it is really too cluttered of a button setup. But yeah, again, I really wanted to try this one here. And I recently got the Aerox 3. Really like this one. I like the shape. Even though I have a relatively large hand, I feel like this one fits my hand really nicely. Of course, when doing claw grip here, I really like the more aggressive shape towards the back here. So it's very comfortable to actually grip. And I have a very secure grip on that one. And I also recently got the Prime and the Prime Mini as well, because all of these mice here, in my country at least, is currently on sale. So I couldn't really resist trying a bunch of SteelSeries mice because I really wanted to try them forever. And coming from the Superlight, which is an excellent mouse, but I just find that shape not to be the best for my specific hand. It does tend to like shift around a little too much when I actually hold it. And I have a hard time actually finding the perfect grip. I can't really palm grip it, I can't really claw grip it all that comfortably, because it doesn't have that aggressive backside here as compared to the Aerox 3, for instance. Even though it's a smaller mouse, the Aerox 3, I feel like that's a better fit for my hand. And of course, the 2 Prime here is ergo-shaped mice, and I really like this ergo shape, and the clicky buttons feel so nice to actually press. But anyways, the Aerox 5 also was one of the mouse I really wanted to try out, because it is kind of something in between the Prime and the Aerox 3. It does have a little bit of an ergo shape maybe, but it's also a little bit bigger than the Aerox 3. And also have a little bit extra buttons here on the side. So anyways, let's just first off remove this plastic bag here. Not really sure why SteelSeries mice have a tendency to come in a plastic bag like so. A little bit wasteful in my opinion. But of course, have a look at the mouse itself here. Does have, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because this button here, the top button on the side, can actually flip up and down, and that is for 2 button movement. And you have 2 normal buttons on the side and 1 button here in the front, and you also have the DPI button. And of course the click button on the scroll wheel as well, and left and right click. So you have, I believe it's 9 buttons on this mouse here. And still it is under the 80 grams of weight. Actually it is, I believe, let's see, 74 grams. You can see down here. And of course test that out in this video. And one thing I really like about SteelSeries and their whole design mice, not only that it is a complete shape here on the sides, so when you grip the mouse you will actually not really notice it all that much with these holes here, but also the fact that it is a weather resistant mouse still. So the whole PCB inside has gotten some weather resistant coating. The actual mouse buttons underneath there as well is also weather resistant, so you can kind of spill soda or water or whatever on the mouse, and at the same time it shouldn't really damage it, or hopefully it wouldn't do so. So I really like that, because it is an open shape, of course, or open design. And that's one of my major concerns with a design like that. So we still have a pretty lightweight mouse at 74 grams, and it is weather resistant. It does have 100% virgin grade PTFE skates underneath, which is very nice. Of course, does have some RGB, 3-zone RGB. Does work with PC, Mac, Xbox, and PlayStation as well. And it does have Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz with wireless connection. I really like that it's possible to use with Bluetooth as well. So you kind of just take it with you, and you don't really need to bring the little dongle there, even though you will of course lose out a little bit accuracy, or at least in pulling rate. I believe it will go down significantly, but still should be plenty for just casual gaming. So they stayed here up to 180 hours in Bluetooth and in the normal 2.4 gigahertz connection, which sounds pretty good. Maybe it's a typo. I believe it's only 80 hours in the 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection and 180 hours in Bluetooth, but correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, like I said, I really like the ability to use both USB Type-C connection, and also with SteelSeries mice you also have a USB Type-C wireless dongle, which is both like good and or bad. I would have liked to see a USB Type-A adapter in the box, so you can use USB Type A with a little wireless dongle. But I do also have that little extension adapter, so you can kind of plug in the included cable or any other USB Type-C cable to that one, and then plug that little wireless dongle into that little adapter there. If you want to use USB-A, you're kind of good to go right out of the box. But again, if you want to plug it directly into your computer, I would still have preferred a USB Type-A dongle included in the box as well. So the TrueMove air sensor, and it is a 1000 Hz pulling rate, and I'm excited to try out those 9 programmable buttons there and see how well it will actually work in a first-person shooter gameplay. Sometimes I feel it could be nice with a little bit extra buttons on the mouse itself. But anyways, you see a lot of its features here on the backside of the box, and it is actually pretty impressive in terms of lightweight. It is, because it still have a lot of RGB lighting. It has 9 buttons, and it's also a relatively large mouse, and still at 74 grams. And of course, we'll try and throw this on a scale here in the video and see how close it gets to the 74 grams, because the Prime Mini and the Prime Wireless is a little bit heavier than is actually advertised. I believe the Prime regular one is advertised as 80 grams, but it's more towards the 81.34 grams on the scale. And the Mini there is actually 2 grams heavier. I believe it's 73 grams advertised, but I measure it at 75 grams on my scale. So that's a little bit heavier than I would have liked to see. And on the side of the box here, you kind of get the nice representation here of the mouse itself. And I really like the design aesthetics. So I am all on the SteelSeries mice at the moment here. I'm gonna try them out. A bit of information here on top of the box. Pros have won more prize money with SteelSeries than any other brand. Doesn't say specifically SteelSeries mice. I don't believe SteelSeries is the #1 brand of mice amongst esports gamers or professional gamers. I believe still maybe the Logitech Superlight or any other like brand is a little bit higher rated in terms of their mice series or mice products. But anyways, let's get into this box here. Plastic seals here in bottom on the below here of the box, and let's just cut through that and get into it. Inside the lid here, with any other SteelSeries mice, there was a little bit of a rubber protector or foam protector, so it will kind of keep the mouse nicely protected and still well presented here when you actually open up the box. And first impressions, definitely feels very light. Kind of surprised me a little bit compared to like the Mini. Kind of feels a little bit heavier than its actual size, and you can see it's actually a very small mouse, but it's actually pretty close to the same weight as this Aerox 5 here. So kind of impressive that SteelSeries has been able to put a bigger mouse like this one here. And yeah, definitely feel the shape already. Very nice. Do have a little bit of an ergo shape, or it is an ergo mouse, but not as aggressive as on the regular Prime, as you can see here. Do get a little bit of a curvature, of course, towards the left side. So it will kind of fit in your hand. But man, right out the bat, this also feels very smooth on my surface here. This is an in-game mouse pad and definitely feels very smooth. So yeah, first impressions, very nice. Let's just dig a little deeper inside the box and see what actually we get here. So we get a little bit of cardboard there, protecting the lower section of this box, and a bigger manual that I've seen with any of the other SteelSeries mice. But anyways, let's get into it. I don't believe this one have any inbuilt storage, so you kind of need the software if you want to set it up and also control the RGB lighting. Little bit unfortunate. Would have been nice to see built-in storage. It's not really an inexpensive mouse by any means. Even though I got it on sale, like 40-ish% off, I still feel like it is a little bit much to pay for a mouse nowadays. But yeah, I know these gaming mice just are so expensive. But anyways, you can see its packaging content, and it kind of recommend you to go and download the SteelSeries engine software or the GG software from SteelSeries, which is the latest software. I have no issues with that. Feels worked quite well on my computer. And you can see all of the specifications here on the mouse itself. And you can see the default CPI, which is a little bit annoying with SteelSeries, that the default CPI doesn't include 1600, which I believe is what most people use, including myself. So you kind of need to go into your software and set it to 1600 if that is what you use and you want consistency between your games. And of course, you can connect via wireless and Bluetooth, or 2.4 GHz wireless and Bluetooth, and you'll get a little bit of a warning on your scroll wheel depending on battery life. So it will be red when it's below 5%, yellow when it's above 6%, and green when it's above 11%. And you get the same information in many different languages. Let's dig a little deeper here inside the box. We do get this nice braided cable. I've seen these cables with like all SteelSeries mice as of late, this one actually feels a little stiffer. It's only really a little bit looser here towards the like USB-C end. The other end actually feels kind of stiff towards the USB-A plug, if that makes any sense. Feels like almost it's two different cables. I don't know if you can actually pick that up on video here, but this one is a little more tighter braided compared to this end here of the cable, which is a little softer braided, and going into the USB Type-C plug there, which is of course also the most important part of the cable. But yeah, I really like these cables here. We do have a SteelSeries branding on there, and it's just so much better than the previous cables from SteelSeries. Either they've been very, very stiff and or made of rubber, which of course will make a lot of drag on your mouse pad. And we do have USB Type-C on the other end, so USB-A of course into your computer or your charging device. USB Type-C goes straight into the mouse. And you can see in front of the mouse here, we do have the USB Type-C plug, and the plug is a little bit recessed, so you kind of need a plug close to the same dimensions that this one included. So that kind of limits to some of the plugs you can use with this mouse here. But of course, just use the supplied cable, or any other small plug USB Type-C cables will work. And since it is a little bit recessed, it should also protect the plug a little bit when you actually move around the mouse, because the frame will hold it a little bit in place. There's a lot of wiggle there with the plug, as you can see, so I'm not really sure if the frame will actually hold the plug in place. Compared to something like the Prime wireless here, I feel like that's a little bit better designed. You can see there's still a little bit of flex in the plug there, but it's hold much better in place inside the frame of the mouse. So yeah, maybe a little bit downgrade there, but of course this is a wireless mouse, so that's probably the main way you should use this. Only really plug it in when you're charging, but of course when you are charging it, you could still be wanted to use the mouse, so just be careful not put too much strain on that USB Type-C plug. So yeah, cable definitely passable, better than previous SteelSeries mice, but still not the best in the world or best out there. Let's dig a little bit deeper here and look at the glory, open for glory here, and we get exactly the same accessories as with other SteelSeries mice as of late. So we get the 2.4 gigahertz or the wireless dongle, which is a big wireless dongle, biggest I've seen with any mouse, but it's also the Quantum 2.0 wireless technologies. So it's a dual band receiver here, so you can kind of switch band. If you have a lot of wireless interference in your office, on your workspace, you can kind of switch frequency on the go or on the fly. So you will have always a perfect connection to your mouse, which is kind of a nice technology, I think. Do have a little bit of SteelSeries branding there. One nice added bonus with this one here, it does actually state the name of the mouse, which is not something I've seen with other dongles. For instance, this one is for the Prime Mini. You can see there's no real name on the dongle itself, so I don't really know if this is for the Prime Mini or if it's for the Aerox 3 or for the regular Prime, other than to just test it out. But the Aerox 5 here definitely have improved upon that. You can see the name of the mouse there, so you know it's for the Aerox 5 wireless. So that's definitely a nice added bonus. I've kind of put a little label on all of my other adapters there, the M for Prime Mini, and I've also made a little label for this one here, so I know it's the Aerox 5, a little 5 number there. So yeah, nice little improvement actually, so you can kind of tell that this is for the Aerox 5 if you have several of these SteelSeries dongles lying around. Other than that, of course, you do get this little adapter, so USB Type-C female to USB Type-C female, and of course you can plug your little wireless dongle in there and then plug the other end into the included cable or any other Type-C cable. And this way you can bring it a little bit closer to your mouse, and whenever you need to charge your mouse, you just remove this end and plug it directly into your mouse, and you will just be wired and charging at the same time, and plug it back in here when you want to go wireless. So I find this solution to be quite nice, but I would have wished that they had included a USB Type-A dongle, maybe even built it into this kind of dongle here, because this is relatively big. So you can maybe just remove the USB Type-A part of the plug, and you could have USB Type-C below, and at the same time you can also use it with a USB Type-A plug, because I believe most gaming PCs still just uses or have USB Type-A primarily on their motherboard. I have 2 USB Type-Cs and the rest of them are USB Type-A, and I definitely have more USB Type-A available in my computer. But anyways, kind of nice little dongle here, and it does have a little bit of a weight, so it will stay on your table pretty well, and also a big rubber feet underneath. So don't really have anything against that implementation. Let's just get rid of the box here and have a closer look at the mouse itself. And right out the bat, I really like the aesthetics of these mice here from SteelSeries, also the Aerox 3. I think they look quite nice actually. And in terms of price, it's only a little bit more expensive to get the Aerox 5 right now here in my country, at least, because both of them are on sale, but the Aerox 5 is actually a little bit higher discounted compared to the Aerox 3, so maybe a little bit better value, and definitely feels very nice in my hand. First impression, Of course, you do feel the extra size compared to the Aerox 3 because it is a bigger mouse, but you also get that a little bit more ergo shape compared to like the Prime. This is the regular Prime wireless. You can see Aerox 5 actually appears to be just a little bit longer actually, but doesn't really stand as tall as the Prime, at least not towards the back here or the side here. But man, really, first impression, really like it. Of course, that 100% virgin grade PTFE feed or skate underneath there feels very smooth, and the weight also feels very nicely balanced. So yeah, first impression really kind of impressed me a little bit there. Let's just have a little bit closer look. You can see inside here are all of its components, which is IP54, weather resistant and water resistant. So it shouldn't, of course, submerge it in water, but if you spill some water on there, it should be fine enough. A lot of holes here in the mouse buttons as well. And speaking of mouse button, let's just take a listen to the clicks of these buttons here. So yeah, overall, buttons feels quite nice, especially mouse 1 and 2 here are left and right buttons. But when you get into these like high gloss buttons, they can feel a little plasticky and sound a little plasticky, especially this button here on the side, which can slide up and or down and have two functions there. I'm not really sure how well that will actually work in game, but you can see here if you kind of let go here or listen, you can kind of hear the spring inside. Does feel very nice and sturdy, so it doesn't feel cheap, but it's not really the best sound there. Front button there, I'm not really sure how well that will actually work inside the game. I can actually hold the mouse pretty comfortably and still kind of click the button there with my thumb. So that seems to be pretty decently placed. Not something I would accidentally press, but when I need it, I kind of maybe have to scoop my thumb a little bit forward and actually click it. So yeah, I think that could be quite useful. I'm not really sure I like the fact that the mouse button goes all the way out to the edge here. I've had a little bit of issue with that on other mice. For instance, here with the Xtrfy M4, you can see the buttons also go all the way out to the frame here. And I find just inside the game, I don't really know where to put my ring finger. So often we'll just rest it on here and it will kind of get a little bit annoying with time. Of course, I could kind of get used to that, but when I'm switching between mice, this is something I found a little bit annoying with other mice, and not something you see with like other mice like the Aerox 3 here. You can see you have the edge there, or the frame of the mouse there on the side of the buttons, versus this one goes all the way to the edge, but it does have a very nice slope there, so I'm not really sure it would cause any issues. So if I end up resting my pinky finger maybe here, I'm not really sure it will cause any issues, but of course only time really will tell. But right out of the bat, yeah, I definitely feel like my ring finger will get a little bit in the way of that button. And on the bottom side here is of course where we find those 100% virgin grade PTFE feed. I find them to be very, very good actually. Probably among the best I've tried, but I'm not really tried that many. I'm still rocking the default ones on my Pro Superlight here. It's not really the greatest I've heard, but these are definitely very nice and very smooth feed. And it's also where you find the button, so you can switch between Bluetooth here on the left, off in the middle, and 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi or wireless here on the right side. So I really like the fact that you can use both, but overall I think it feels a little plasticky actually to switch between those, but it is of course also a plastic mouse. And you do have like the same kind of diffuser as you see here on the Aerox 3. So you can see that bottom side there will light up, and you also kind of have a, not quite in the same way as the Aerox 3 here when you have it on the side, because on the side here you do have a little bit of a thumb rest on the Aerox 5, but it does go around the back side of the mouse as you can see here. And it is flashing red now, so I suppose I need to charge it up. And I can't remember wrong, but you do not have any RGB on the scroll wheel itself, not on the Aerox 3 as well. So I believe it's only like the Prime series where you have that RGB scroll wheel. Let's just do a little bit of a size comparison here. So of course we have the Aerox 5 there, between the Aerox 3, between the regular Prime, the Prime Mini, and then let's just have this super light here. So you can see the kind of the shape there. Definitely seems to be a little bit bigger than the Prime Wireless, and of course bigger than the Aerox 3, but also bigger than the super light as well. But of course the buttons there do stick out quite a bit here, so it does take up a little bit of space. So yeah, first impressions, definitely do like the shape and the design of this mouse here. Let's bring in the scale and see how close we get to the 74 grams of weight. Wow, SteelSeries, you're actually a little bit lower than advertised. So 73.7 grams. That's very nice. You know, compared to like the Prime Mini Wireless, which is advertised as 73 grams. You can see here, it kind of exceeds that at 75 grams, but this is a very accurate scale. So have increments of 0.1 grams. And in terms of size there, we are looking at a relatively big mouse. So you can see 124 millimeters. If you account for the buttons there in the front, you can see we are a little bit longer as well. So 129. Let's just measure the back side here, the widest point first. So 67.2 at its widest point, and at its slimmest point here it is 61, close to 61, and at its highest point here towards the back it is close to 42 millimeters. So definitely pretty nice. Must say I'm pretty impressed by the weight. It is relatively lightweight and just so smooth across my surface here. So yeah, really looking forward to getting into some gameplay. This is just an unboxing and first impression video of this mouse here. And I will kind of switch between the SteelSeries mice I have right now here, see which one I like the best. And I will kind of try to play with one mouse until the battery dies. Then I will switch on to the next mouse until that battery dies. So I will kind of get used to the shape, because if I just switch between mouse in between games, I will not really get that used to the shape. It does take for me at least a few days to get really used to a mouse shape. So yeah, but first impressions, it's definitely good. Really like the construction, of course. There's a little bit of creaking and squeaking, but I don't really understand why people care too much about that. Is there a little bit of flex in the mouse buttons? Yeah, there's some flex in the mouse buttons. Of course, it is plastic, so you will have a little bit of flex there. Pre and post travel. There's a little pre-travel, and there's also some post travel. Again, is that something you care about? And the same for the buttons there on the side. Actually feels quite nice. There's minor post travel and minor pre travel, and of course the button here in the top that you squeeze up or down, or move up and or down. You do have a lot of post travel on that one actually if you pull it down, and also a lot when you pull it up. So yeah, that's something you gotta get used to. And the button there in the front feels pretty crisp, and there's minimum pre travel on the button here in the front, and a little bit of post travel. So I'm not really sure why people really care about stuff like that, but when you're actually using the mouse, that's most important. It's not like I'm sitting here in my game doing like this to kind of feel the buttons. You kind of need to use it for some time to break it in and see if there's any issues long term or down the line. But overall, I would say the build quality and the construction there is very, very good, especially considering the low weight and also the kind of shape this mouse have here with all these holes. So unboxing, first look at the SteelSeries Aerox 5 Wireless. So first impressions is definitely very good. I'm looking forward to getting into using this mouse here and other SteelSeries mice and see which one I prefer long term. And of course, if you're interested, I will share some affiliate link in the description to this mouse I have featured in this video. But that's pretty much it for this one. I hope to see you again in a future video. Until then, take care.